When you think of chaos, you might think of utter confusion, a jumbled mess, destruction, or Slack being down, or your computer not turning on. But previously, the word chaos had a different meaning. In ancient Greece, writers and thinkers described chaos as more of an abyss, an empty void that existed before life. It wasn't until the 1600s, when it was adopted by the English language, that it grew undertones of mass confusion or pain. Life, by nature, is chaotic. The human brain is beautifully designed to turn chaos into order. Whether through storytelling, art, or through the veneer of self-delusions, we are built to handle the randomness and uncertainty of daily life. When a tornado rips through town, one person may see chaos where another sees a fresh start. So then, a creative addendum, we are in control of the story we tell ourselves about the events that unfold before us. We can view chaos as a freight train hitting your soul, or we can see it as a catalyst for clarity. This month's global exploration of chaos was chosen by our friends in our Tijuana chapter and illustrated by Araboy. September's chaos is presented globally by our friends at MailChimp. And I don't have her bio in my speaker notes. Ginger, she's going to tell you all about herself. Ginger HAHN is from Ginger Elizabeth Chocolates. She's an amazing woman. I've had the opportunity to sit down with her a few times as we set up and got ready for this talk. She's a powerhouse. The lady is so innovative and creative. I find that she harnesses chaos to work for her, but she has so much order in everything that she does as well. And she brings beauty and quality to the next level of our city. I'm really, really excited to have her here today. Please help me welcome Ginger HAHN.
Hello. Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. Well, if you want to read about me, just go on my website. The bio's right there. Anything, we're good. All right, let's see if I can do this. I'm not good at computers and stuff. This is Ginger Elizabeth Chocolate logo. Great. So I'm here to talk about chaos, and this right here is my idea of chaos. This was probably about 2 years into it. This is the kitchen at 1801 L Street when we didn't have a babysitter, and Tom was working the front counter, and I had a jambiga order, and I had him roving truffles, and I had a baby there, trying to make sure that he was quiet. Okay, so that is my chaos, for sure. Chaos is creativity, chaos is consistency, and chaos is change. This is my creative, chaotic family. I grew up in a very creative and chaotic household. My mother is a master seamstress and made her own wedding dress, along with those burgundy Christmas dresses that are now making their way back into style. My father created and welded a hoist when he had to replace a transmission in the family car. My oldest sister is a painter and a seamstress. My second oldest sister is an amazing crafter and seamstress.
I'm sorry, it's not working.
Oh, okay. Could you guys hear me? Do you want me to start over? No. Okay, you can hear me? Huh? Oh, okay, okay. Well, this is great. It's all about being flexible. Flexible. And so my second oldest sister is an amazing crafter and seamstress, and my Irish twin sister can DIY anyone under the table with high heels on. So we're a pretty creative family. So from a young age, I loved creating in the kitchen, and not just any kitchen, but my mother and my grandmother's kitchen specifically. Creating heavy cream into whipped cream was my favorite It was a favorite pastime of mine. When I was 6, I was helping my mother make strawberry shortcake. It was my job to whip the cream, and I had really long hair. And I remember one of my sisters coming up behind me and saying, is it ready yet? And I said, no, it's not. And the beaters caught on to my hair, and I had a big bald spot on my head when I was 6 or 7 years old. And that was, I thought, a great initiation into the world of the pastry arts and culinary arts. So here I am in 8th grade, creating a cake for a history project, the preamble. I did this for every project I could through high school. Most of my projects were delicious, including my senior thesis that I did on a recipe book that the principal thankfully approved. Creativity was causing some problems, however, in school. During my senior year, the last class of the day was chemistry, and all I could do in that class was design wedding cakes and cakes in my head. I would stare off into space. And that got me a big fat F in chemistry. So for the last quarter, I had to meet my chemistry teacher at 6:30 to study before school every day. Who here knows a Bella Brew? It was a coffee shop, yeah, still around. I was a supervisor there when I was 16, and I used to get out of work at 10:30 at nights. So to go to chemistry at 0 period to make up for me designing cakes in my brain, well, anyways, that caused a little chaos in my life, and I did that to myself. So my love for creating in the kitchen led me to Santa Barbara City College in the hotel, restaurant, and culinary program. I worked many jobs and went to school 8 hours a day, but two of my bosses at the time were both mentors to me and invited me to the Women's Culinary Guild meeting, and both of them made sure I got a sit by the one and only Julia Child. Yes. So I don't have any, this says Julia Child story. Okay, so when I was 18, I got to sit by her, and she wrote down some of the best schools she thought that I should go to. I did not go to any of them because they were in France. She gave me her phone number, and I had so much confidence when I was 18. Like, it was unbelievable. And I called her, and she didn't pick up, and I left a message. And then when I got back from culinary school that day, I had a friggin' message on my answering machine that said, "Hello, Ginger Powers, this is Julia Child." And I listened to it at least 100 times, and I called her back. And she picked up the phone, and I was like, "So, what scholarships do you think I should apply for?" And she told me a few, and one of the IACP scholarships, I think I tried on my 3rd try. I finally got it the last year at the Culinary Institute of America, but that was amazing, and yeah, I can't believe I did that. So anyways, that was that. Yes. Okay, good. And so I love creating, learning about chocolate and pastry arts so much I could not get enough. At the age of 19, I loaded up my car and drove across the country with a friend to attend the Culinary Institute of America for the pastry art program in Hyde Park, New York. Once again, I had multiple jobs, and I was working 17 hours a day. So a very non-creative moment for me was being a server. Let me tell you about how non-creative that is. For me personally, I am a horrible server. Has anyone here gotten fired from a job before? I have. What do you think? So when you stare at the back of the house the entire day and you're like, I just want to be plating desserts. I don't want to be serving them. I'm a horrible server. I can't read my own handwriting. I hate this. I remember serving Mario Batali, and I knocked a glass of water on him. And anyways, I got fired from that job. So that was a non-creative moment for me. So during school, you had to do an externship is required. I landed my extern with Jacques Therese Chocolates in Brooklyn. This creative learning experience was nothing but chaos. I lived on top of a noodle shop in Chinatown with no running water. Therefore, I had to steal showers around town, and by the time I got home, I had icicles in my hair because it was wintertime. I also slept on an ottoman with a chair for 6 months, and every 2 hours my butt would fall through, and I would get up and I'd push them back together, and then I'd go back to sleep. So anyways, I remember, so Martha Stewart was doing a private label at the time, and Jacques Therese was making all of Martha Stewart's almonds for her catalog that Christmas. And I remember I'm gonna do all of these almonds. And I did. I did hundreds. I coated hundreds and hundreds of pounds of almonds in chocolate for Martha Stewart. I got her whole order done. And I went up to one of the owners, and he looked at me and he said, "Get the fuck out of my face. Don't you ever come and have that much chocolate on your apron or on your jacket ever again." I was a tiny thing, and they only had like man jackets. And I was just like, okay, I just made you so much money, but I'm just gonna go, okay, I'm gonna go. Anyways, there was nothing but chaos. I remember Jock used to drop molds at my feet, and he'd be like, "Pick that shit up." And I'm like, one time I finally was like, mm-mm. He's like, "Who the fuck dropped them?" I'm like, mm-mm. And he's like, "You have balls. Small balls, but you have balls." And I'm like, "I don't want balls, dude. Like, come on. Gross." Anyways, that's him. But it was a good experience. He is a nice guy. He is, okay. Anyways, next I packed my car, and I drove myself from New York to Chicago in my little Isuzu rodeo, filled with my life. So I went to go work for the Enming Shu at the Ritz-Carlton in Chicago. She had just won the World Pastry Cup in 2001, and she was a hot pastry chef at the time to work with. The most important thing I learned from her was a creative process. I brought her ideas, drawings, ideas for plated desserts, and then she would go through the process of changing them 8 to 10 times before she allowed them on her menu. This is one of them that ended up on her menu. And it came from just an idea. So it's pretty awesome. That was for Christmas Eve something, I don't remember. But Chicago was very depressing for me. Being from California, the weather got me down, so I moved back to California. And then I was supposed to go transfer to a Ritz-Carlton in Carlsbad. That fell through, and so my parents lived in El Dorado Hills, and that's where I landed. And they had just opened up a $4 million restaurant there in 2003. So that was the first, I was the pastry chef there, and it was the first time I got to try out my own style and learn to evolve. Restaurant dessert menus change with the season, and I love that about restaurants, but most restaurants lacked what creativity made up for. So egocentric alcoholic chefs and cocaine on the toilet paper dispenser wasn't really my thing. Not why I got into this business. So thanks to several unsavory experiences, I created a wholesale company. Couture Chocolates by Ginger Elizabeth Chocolates was born. By Ginger Elizabeth was born. So the day I turned 24, I got my business license. Around that time, I also met my future business partner and husband, Tom HAHN. We would constantly be creating on paper what our space and menu would look like for our future retail store. We got funding in August in 2007, 5 months before the Great Recession, to open Ginger Elizabeth Chocolates at 1801 L Street. Yay! Okay. So let's enter the world of chocolate. We will keep being creative, but let's move on to consistency and how that too creates chaos. Chocolate, especially couverture chocolate, which has at least 28% cocoa butter, requires a very consistent environment. Polymorphism is a defining quality of cocoa butter. Polymorphism is a condition of occurring in several different forms. So I'm going to go use this example. I'm going to use carbon as an example. Okay, carbon in its pure form can either be something like graphite in a certain crystalline form, and then it can also be as hard as a diamond. Okay, so this is how cocoa butter is. It has to be tempered. I don't know if anyone's heard of that process, but it's a process of agitating and cooling at the same time. What I'm looking for when we do chocolate is called the fifth form of the crystalline structure. That's what we're trying to achieve when we're tempering chocolate. Okay, so anyways, chocolate itself requires a lot of consistency, and I would call it a very chaotic food. Just saying, it is. So events, does everyone know the events we've put on before, like chocolate for breakfast and cupcake day and the ice cream socials and yes, custard day, I mean, we could go on, caramel day. So these events are very hard to keep consistent, and they literally take years off my life. When you only do an event once a year, it's so hard to make sure everything that 1 year is coming, once a year is coming out consistent, because you don't practice it day in and day out. So that causes a lot of chaos. Those events cause a lot of chaos for me, but I still do them. So I'm just going to give you a little example. Look at how pretty and perfect this sundae looks with a baked apple and yummy pie crust, and I don't remember what else was in it, but I remember driving up to Apple Hill because it was on the menu. So I got my Granny Smith apples from Apple Hill, and they're supposed to be 8-hour roasted apples. Come into work the next day, they were raisins. They were dried apples. So I called Tom and I said, get the kids in the car, go to the co-op, go grab some organic Granny Smith apples. I need a case. And he went to the co-op, grabbed them, and all I know, it was like 8 o'clock and we were peeling, caramelizing caramel, pouring it into tins, peeling apples, putting the blast freezer on, so right when they came out of the oven, and we probably got them right to the shop at 10, and everyone had apples a la minute. And that means on the fly. No 8-hour baked apples that day. All right. So because we practiced with apples from the co-op, and then we went and got apples from Apple Hill, the water content was different. So, So good customer service also requires a ton of consistency. We have a 6-week training guide and chocolate education and tasting class with our staff. I go over how grateful we are for each dollar and how that needs to be portrayed to our customers. Keeping regulations, training, and just the day consistent is constantly causing chaos for me. Updating training guides, recipes, etc. It's just an absolute nonstop job, but it needs to happen. It's something that's very important to me. So I never back down. Another thing that's very important is Instagram, Faith Wave. Yay, Faith does my Instagram. And then Francisco takes my pictures. So Instagram is, look how pretty and perfect it looks. It's so pretty and perfect. But this is really what my Instagram looks like. So if you think about, just anytime you look, oh my gosh, the Instagram's so pretty. I was at Home Goods the morning before that, with screaming children and screaming at them and trying to tell them not to break things, and them asking for Christmas presents and writing their list right then and there. So anyways, we were in Nordstrom's and this was a hellstorm. Okay, so I love Instagram, but it does cause a little bit of chaos for me, but it is a creative outlet. I can't give up, and I love it. Okay, so change. This is a big one. If you walked into the employee bathroom at 1801 L Street for the first 7 years before it fell off the wall, I had a quote by Winston Churchill. To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often. There is change you can control, and there is change you can't control. And change is very chaotic to me. Yay. Adding members to your family, totally something you can control. But once they're out, there will be no controlling things. And then you have another, and then you have another. So Connor was born in 2009. At that time, Tom and I had a hot bed, and what that means is that if I was sleeping, he was working, vice versa. Okay, so we never really saw each other too much. When I was nursing, we lived above the shop. When I was nursing, he was downstairs, and we didn't have a nanny. We didn't have an office at the time. I don't know, just bucked it up. I don't know how we did it. But I know that one day that we needed to drum up some business. And so there was a little place called David Berkeley's along, they closed, but in the pavilions. And I remember driving, it was a gourmet grocery store. Anyways, market. And I remember I put Connor in the front pack, and he was asleep. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go into David Berkeley's. I'm going to ask for the manager. I'm going to see if they want to get my bars wholesale. Okay, I can do this. I have no one to watch the baby right now. So Baby was sleeping, went in. Is there a manager? The minute the manager comes out, you know. So I'm sitting here going like this. Hi, great. So you want to buy some bars from me? And I have these great bars, and I'm sweating a little bit, and then all of a sudden the kid starts pooing like no other. And if you know how infants sound, it's like they don't care. It's just like, and it went on forever and ever, and I just pretended like I didn't hear it. And I was beet red, and I had sweat rolling down, and I was just like, ugh. So anyways, that was chaotic and totally my choice. But yeah, change, adding a child. That's interesting. Okay, and then changes in your body are hard. So I had a 9.5-pound baby in that stomach. That was my second child in there. And I remember Cupcake Day one day, and I had scheduled myself at 3 in the morning and didn't realize I had no one else coming in until 5 a.m. So I had to open the reach-in, and I had these 30-pound buckets. I could not lift 30 pounds at that time. Connor wasn't even 30 pounds at that time. Or maybe they were heavier than that. So I just kind of went like this and got him out of the walk-in, and I got a crate, and I put muffin tins down, and I scooped 1,600 cupcakes on my knees that day. So changes in your body can create chaos a little bit. And I couldn't walk. I had sciatic issues. Okay, this one might make me cry. No, it's not. Nope. And so Coco, my Cosette, yet another baby was born, but this time we had a major hiccup. My daughter had duodenal stenosis and had to have an intestinal bypass when she was 6 days old. So that was horrible, and we were in the hospital for 14 days, and I remember getting out of the hospital, and on the third day we were out of the hospital, my supervisor quit. My front of the house manager was on maternity leave and had issues with her baby, so wasn't coming back. And then our supervisor had an emergency across country, and she gave me 5 days notice and left. So I had no choice but to come back to work. We also got a new ice cream machine that I had to train on. And so my daughter came back with me to work, still with stitches in her stomach, and I'm fried still to this day from that chaos. But I'll recover hopefully one day. So there are changes that you can control, right? And then there's changes that you cannot control. And they all kind of create chaos. But here's one. Here's the chaos that I can control and I choose not to. So for example, 2014, the salty caramel macaron changed, and then in 2015, I changed it again. And then 3 months after that, until 2017, I changed it. Until it was finally that. That is what I wanted, and that is what I got. But it took that many iterations. Where's Susie and Daniel? Raise your hands. Yeah, they thought I was crazy. So those are some of my staff. But they think I'm nuts and tiring, but they do it anyways. So we have over 100 products. So you do the math, the chaotic math of like me constantly wanting to make things better. So you might ask why do I do this to myself? If you ask my sister, she would just say because I'm manic. But it's really because I can't stop my brain from creating just 1 or 2 adjustments that would make it just perfect. But because taste is subjective, there's no such thing as perfection. I like the challenge, the educational process. Tom, my husband, used to work for the French Laundry and Manresa, both 3-star Michelin restaurants. So he too always wants to improve right along with me. So there's no one to stop me. I like to know that my staff is learning new things and keeping things fresh, and I get bored and I just can't help it. I love change. Oh yeah, and then there was this tiny change we made to the company. We opened a boutique in San Francisco in November 2017. Aside from my daughter's rough beginning, this was the most stressful thing that has ever happened to me. None of it was what I dreamed. It caused massive financial crisis going into San Francisco with no investors, marital crisis as Tom and I are still picking up the pieces of the aftermath daily, even this morning. It all added to my postpartum depression that never went away after Coco was born, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. So the change and the chaos had caught up with us all. I was working off of 3 hours of sleep per night, and some days I really had to say out loud. I remember walking to the parking garage in San Francisco off of Lombard, and I looked at my feet and I said, step right, step left, step right. It's not a lie. I literally had to tell myself to walk. But if you looked at my Instagram, please, people, just when you go on Instagram, don't feel bad about yourself. Because I do, and I just have to remind myself, no, it's not all what it seems, right? But it's beautiful, and it is a creative outlet, and I do love it. We love San Francisco, and everything is doing great now. So no matter how hard things got, it didn't kill me, and I'm still standing. If any of you asked me if I would have done it all over again, I think you all know the answer. So I didn't come here today to talk to you about balance. Anne Marie's here. Go to Zuda. She'll teach you how to balance. I am not going to do that. But there is a balance to it all. And finally, Tom and I are changing things about our business and ourselves that allow for balance. This is a practice and will never be easy for us. We also dug ourselves so deep, we figure it'll take a few years to fully implement some of these new practices for us. I did, however, come here today to talk to you about chaos. When you do what you love in life, it is a life worth living. I am grateful each and every day I get to wake up and create, to practice consistency, and to change for the better as a mom, a person, and a professional. Being creative is essential to a full life, even if it does cause a little chaos. That's it. Okay, so chocolate tasting. I just need everyone here to raise your hand if you know what the percentage on a chocolate bar means. Come on. No, the percentage. Does anyone know what the percentage is on a chocolate? Okay. The percentage is how much actual cocoa beans are in your chocolate bar. Okay, so if you see a bar that says, don't eat anything yet. If you see a bar and it says like 70%, on it, it would be 70% cocoa mass, and the rest 30% would be sugar. If it was a milk chocolate bar and it said 40%, it would be 40% chocolate mass, and the remainder would be sugar and milk, since it's milk chocolate. Okay, so there's crumblies in the bottom of your bag. They're called cocoa nibs. They're little crumbly things. I want you to just grab one of those and nibble on it. So this is a cocoa bean, this is a nib, this is a roasted bean. I want someone to tell me what percentage this would be. Yeah. All right, so within those beans, there is a natural occurring cocoa butter, okay? So this is where I tell you why humans love chocolate. Is it for the flavor? Yes it is. But I also see so many people eating chocolates and going like this. People tip their head back. It's the weirdest thing, but I know why. And this is an observation after 10 years or whatever, 11. It's cocoa butter. The very cool thing about couverture chocolate, which is a very high-end chocolate, is what we use. It has a lot of cocoa butter in it. And what that cocoa butter is very interesting because it can only be a liquid or a solid. It's different than like dairy butter that can be different consistencies at different temperatures. Cocoa butter can only be a liquid or a solid. So that means it has a very sharp melting point. So when it hits its melting point, it liquefies. And it melts perfectly on the human palate. The back of your mouth is 98, the tip of your tongue is 92. Cocoa butter melts perfectly on the human palate. This is why humans love chocolate. And also because cocoa butter has a sharp melting point. So when people are going like this, it's normally they're having a melting thing. That's just making everything just so much better. It's this melting thing, and that's why I think humans love chocolate, okay? So we're gonna go into the fev. So I was supposed to tell you, eat the cocoa butter. It's the little white thing. It doesn't taste good, but you can rub it on your lips. It's really good lip balm. It doesn't taste good, but you guys can see how it can either be a liquid or a solid in your mouth. Just take a small bite. But that is what chocolate, that's what's in chocolate that makes us love it. And that's interesting, right? I love that. Okay, so Madagascar. There's a fève, there's an oval piece of chocolate in there. That's a piece of chocolate from Valrhona, from Madagascar. It's called Minjari. It has a lot of floral notes, but this one in particular has a lot of red fruit notes, and it tastes like rose, so it's very floral and has a lot of red fruit notes. We use it in our, so if it has like raspberry and like floral notes, like what chocolate do you think we use it in? The raspberry rose truffle. Thank you. Thank you. That's right. And that's your favorite one. That's great. That's a lot of people's favorite one, actually. It's a very popular one. Okay, and then let's go on to my favorite chocolate, the lemon bonbon. This is not just any lemon bonbon. This is Eureka Lemon. We get Eureka lemon juice from Good Humus Farm. Yay! They come. Yes, these are the co-op ladies. Yes. Hi. Hello. Yes, we love. Oh my gosh, Annie, and I'm blanking right now. Jeff, thank you. And okay, so we get like 800 pounds of Eureka lemons from them during lemon season, and then we process them and freeze the juice for the whole entire year. So the cool thing, did anyone know that most of our truffles are inspired by local organic farms? Okay, awesome. Well, if you ever get our candy key, you can see all the farms listed. You can go on our website and see all the farmers we use. We use over 30 farmers for all of the products that we have. And they're local, and they're mainly from the Cape Valley. Okay, and, or is it Cape? Is it Cape or Cape? Okay, so do you guys like that one? Actually, so French pastry chefs from France say that they love this one because it reminds them of sun in their mouth, and that makes me want to cry, and I say thank you. But I love using ingredients from around here, and this one, because Americans don't think, oh, let's take bittersweet chocolate and lemon, like, oh, that doesn't sound good. We like orange and milk chocolate. No, this is a very, very good combination. This is a very natural, good combination. That's really good. Okay, I'm going so over time. Anyways, that's it. And really quick, the coupon, if you want to do corporate gifting with me, Sarah at Ginger Elizabeth Chocolates with no H, or me, Ginger at Ginger Elizabeth Chocolates. I can help you with all your gifting needs this Christmas. And October 6th, we're doing just keep an eye out. We're doing a thing with Dr. Badai, Breast Cancer Awareness Day. October 13th is Pumpkin Ice Cream Sunday, and with like just amazing stuff on it. And then, yeah, that's it. Oh, thank you. And thank you for thinking of me. Thank you.